Would you share with the audience some major forms of Chinese paintings and how do those forms relate to their functions?
That's really, really important, I thought, as a viewer, as a visitor to the museum. If you face a Chinese painting, I think that sometimes we forget the materiality of the painting. Painting is not just an image, it's an object as well. That is the concept. I think we sometimes when we engage with, say, non-Western art or the culture you are not familiar with, people tend to focus on imagery and not the support of the imagery, the function of the imagery, the forms of the imagery. And so I think it's a great question to ask about. The Chinese painting, the format, or we could call form in English, is really the three basic forms, primary forms. Hand scroll, we call hand scroll, is a horizontal scroll, and then hanging scroll or vertical format and scroll. They both are scrolls, and that is the important concept. Scrolls, the Chinese painting, sometimes we call the scroll painting. That's very important. And then the third format is album. It's like a book. So these three are very, how to say, the quintessential, the format of the Chinese painting. But we also need to keep in mind that these three formats had a history. Beyond these three formats, or before these formats, we need to think about the formats. These three formats, when they started, and before these formats exist, what are the other Chinese painting formats? For example, before the hanging scroll appeared in history quite late in the long history of the Chinese painting. It started only, say, if we based on the evidence, the surviving example, that started in 10th century. Although the records show that, and in 9th century, there already are the hanging scrolls. Before the hanging scroll, and there were paintings on screens. Screen is one of the main formats before the hanging scrolls. And also there are some other formats, for example, the banners, and which has a longer history. But these screens and banners disappeared since, if we have to put a date, that's since the 12th century, and they disappeared from the painting history. It's a fascinating history if we look into the formats. And it tells about, we would hope we will talk about the functions and the viewing display space later, and they have an impact on them.